Welcome to the Go Big with Gib podcast, where we talk to professionals, business owners, and entrepreneurs about their big wins. Welcome to this episode of Go Big with Gib. Today I've got a very good friend of mine here with us, Justin Jackson from CrossFit Tier One Fitness.
Hey, how's it going? Glad to be here.
Yeah, great to have you on. How are you today, man?
Doing good. Monday morning, got a good start to the morning, getting our classes going, personal training going, all that good stuff.
So, Justin, tell us a little bit about yourself if you could.
Sure. My name's Justin Jackson. I'm the owner, operator, and head coach of CrossFit Tier One. I've been a fitness professional here in Greenville for about 15, 16 years. I used to work for Vidant Wellness Center, did a lot of great things with them, helped bring the performance center to that facility as well. I've also had my own business in a couple of different other areas, ran a couple of different LLCs in the fitness world. And about 7-8 years ago, I acquired this business, and I've really just fully immersed myself in being a head coach for CrossFit and operating this business here. I'm a fitness guy. I'm always going to practice what I preach. And one of my things that I really do is I don't ask anybody to do something that I'm not doing. I want to be involved in those types of things. And I still have a huge passion for coaching and doing some of that stuff. And so although I have to zoom out and look at that macro a lot and really run the business and make sure the business is really doing well, I still like to zoom in that micro and get to really have an impact on people, get to touch them with my knowledge and the basis that I have. I'm a CrossFit Level 3 coach. There's not too many of us. It's kind of a prestigious certification, and I've been that for about 4 years now. And I'm just really big on continuing education, making sure we have a lot of science behind what we're doing, and that really shines through in my background as an exercise physiologist. I have a couple different exercise degrees from ECU, and I've also used those a lot, and I think that makes me a unique combination of the traditionally educated exercise professional with exercise physiology and nutrition in my background, but also having some high-level experience and education in the CrossFit world as well. Those two things kind of colliding, I think that gives me a unique perspective, and we have some unique offerings and things that we can do based off of that leadership that I'm able to provide.
Tell me a little bit about CrossFit. What is CrossFit, and why has it blown up so big throughout the entire country? It seems to be like one of the coolest ways to work out right now. Tell me a little bit about it.
Sure, I'll tell you a little bit. CrossFit is a premium fitness service. It's kind of like a functional fitness service where we have everything kind of tied into one. So like strength training, body weight work, and plyometrics, what most people would consider like cardio and conditioning. And we kind of have it all in a neat little package. And I think that's part of what makes it such a premium service and so popular. It takes a lot of the thinking out of it. You don't have to worry about your health and fitness. You come. You do the program that we have for the day. The coaches guide you through that. And so it's got kind of a group personal training element to it. And I think the biggest factor, like most things, is it works. It works really well. Like I said, it's a premium service. And so it's definitely not cheap. It's something that we really, really take pride in providing a lot of different details and a lot of things for your fitness and your individual goals. But it's for everyone. And even if you're just beginning, you can do a similar workout style as someone who's been doing it for a while. It just kind of changes in degree, not really in type. And I think people really like that. You see someone that you may look up to or you're inspired by, you can do a really similar workout to that person. They just may be doing more weight. They may be doing more reps. They may be going faster, but you get to kind of share the same type of stimulus and the same result. And that really brings the community together. And that's a big part of what we do as well.
Yeah. So tell me a little bit about, your customer base. Like, what kind of clientele do you have in the CrossFit business?
Absolutely. So it varies, like most things, right? But kind of like our niche, like I said, is like the professional, the business person, the entrepreneur, the doctor, the lawyer, the professional that's busy, because what we're doing is we're packaging that thing all in a quick hour that has a lot of structure and a lot of guidance in it. And so people really like that, is that you can get in and out in about an hour and 15 minutes and get more than you would want in a day. And I think that's a big draw for some of those active professionals and those high performers out there.
Yeah, that makes total sense. I mean, they can walk into the gym, from what I understand, and basically have an amazing workout that's already planned out. The coaches walk them through that workout. They don't have to do any thinking. They just show up. You said it's about an hour and 15 minutes?
Yeah, like start to finish.
Okay. And let's talk a little bit about that. So inside that 1 hour and 15-minute class, like, give me kind of the framework of what a typical class might be like. And I know they're different, but kind of walk me through for somebody that's maybe never done CrossFit, that's thinking about coming out here and checking it out. What would a typical class look like?
Sure, that's awesome. Yeah, it's a great thing to go over. So we'd come in and we would meet for the briefing. That's going to kind of be like a huddle. And you're going to be around the coach and around our kiosk, which is like double screens and a computer. It's going to show you the workout. So we have a really healthy tech element involved. Each person gets access to the app so they can see the workout on the app. They kind of have an idea what to expect. We meet for that briefing with the coach. Coach is going to talk to you about like what the workout parameters are, maybe some tips strategy-wise, definitely some scaling options and how to adjust things and things like that. Greet everyone, ask how everyone feels, get to know them a little bit. Then we're going to go through a structured warm-up. So the warm-up's going to be specific to the workout of the day. We're going to guide you through that, make sure you're moving properly, take a look at anything that might be ailing you, anything that looks a little off. Then we're going to have more of what we call a primer, and that's like practicing what we're doing for the day in the actual workout, the way that it's written. And then we have the workout. And as you said, the workouts are very different. That's part of what makes it work. It could be anything from 20 minutes of conditioning to something kind of heavy, and we're going to lift weights and we're going to spend a lot more time warming up and focusing on that and only doing a few sets of something heavy versus like doing a ton of conditioning. And that's what makes it so fun and just a lot of variety and a lot of learning as well.
So what is the typical class size? How many people would you have at it? Give me a range in terms of a typical class.
Sure. I think the easiest way to kind of explain that is like the time of day. Right? So like middle of the day classes, probably like a 6 to 10, maybe 15 is like a cap for that. 5:30 a.m. and 5:30 p.m., that's going to be more of like a 20 plus. And I think that's one of the things that makes CrossFit Tier 1 unique and kind of stand out among gyms, especially other CrossFit gyms, is our space is just so big. We could take 30 people in the class as long as the program was such that the coach could handle that. And we'd have no issues with space or anything like that. And that's one of the things that we love about this facility and this space that we have.
Yeah. So let me ask you this, like having all those people in the class, I would assume, I know for myself, like when I'm working out, it really pushes me to have other people working out with me. I mean, is that part of the training process? I know that I can only imagine if you got people watching you do your workout and you're doing it in like a team atmosphere, that kind of I would assume that fuels everybody to work out even harder than they would if they were just in the gym by themselves and there's really no accountability.
Yeah, I think you hit the nail on the head there for like one of those things that makes CrossFit popular and effective. It kind of sounds funny to say it like this, but like peer pressure is a pretty big thing, right? There starts to be some built-in accountability of like, hey, Gib, you normally come to 9 a.m., where you been? You haven't here for 2 days. And those people, not just the instructors and the coaches, they're kind of missing you. They're kind of helping you with that accountability. And as you said, helping you with that push. Oh man, that looked great. I bet you could do a little bit more. I bet you could go a little bit faster. I can't wait to see you try that next time. You're going to be able to get a personal best on that. And it's one thing when you hear from the instructors and the people that it's their job to help you with that. It's another thing when you hear from your peers, your friends, your community, and they want to motivate you as well. They want to see you do your best. And that's just another one of those pieces that I think is just absolutely the lifeblood of a successful CrossFit gym and a CrossFit program.
Yeah, no, I love that. Talk to me a little bit about some of the lifting. So, I follow you on social media, and you're pretty active on social. You'll throw up there videos of you doing all these different Olympic lifts and stuff like that. For people that are like maybe scared of that kind of stuff, how do you get them into that and do it in a safe manner?
Sure. Yeah, I love that question because that is something we hear a lot. You can get injured doing Olympic weightlifting. You can get injured doing a lot of those things. What we try to really sell is we want to teach it to you, right? We want to teach it to you properly, and we want you to understand how to do the movement. We don't necessarily want to push how much weight you're doing or how often you're doing it or try to push that envelope. We want you to learn the movement. It can be such a beneficial thing to understand the principles of Olympic weightlifting. You're using your whole body. It requires mobility, power, strength, dexterity, hand-eye coordination. And so just learning it, not necessarily worrying about what type of weight we're doing, is really, really awesome. And one of the really fulfilling things for myself and for my staff is when you get someone that you might not identify as like an Olympic weightlifter, that really moves well doing that. So whether that be a kid, a young person, or someone that's a little bit more elderly, maybe someone that's coming off of an injury, a car accident, something like that, a surgery, they can do all the things that we're doing, right? But it's the degree where it changes. And I think that's one of those misconceptions with the general public. No one's ever going to force you to put weight on the bar and try this movement that you don't feel comfortable with. We just want to take all that away, go with an empty bar or even a PVC or a medicine ball, teach you the principles of the movement, and then let you build up from there on your own. And where you end up is a lot more autonomous to what your goals may be and what you want to do. And so we teach everyone the Olympic movements, but we don't necessarily require that you do them at a high level or with a heavy load.
Yeah, so compare what you do in CrossFit just for a minute. Like, let's talk about Nautilus equipment. So, a lot of people, especially people over 40, will do a lot of stuff on Nautilus equipment. And I know that some of the Nautilus equipment, you may not get like full range of motion. You definitely aren't working like all of your joints. You're basically like limiting the muscle down. Like you're working one single solitary muscle. And it seems like what you're doing with CrossFit is like, you're really like training a lot of different muscles at the same time, I would assume, with some of the stuff. Like I know you and I have spent a lot of time training together over the years. I've done a lot of stuff with you, like burpees and stuff like that, where you're training a lot of different muscle groups all at the same time. And man, the level of intensity of the workouts with you, I mean, I've got to say, it's like a 10 out of 10. Like you're a super intense guy, and you knew how to push me to where I was going, level 10, all out. Like, how does it compare when you talk about a CrossFit workout compared to like somebody that does Nautilus weight training predominantly?
Yeah, I love that question too. First off, I promote any fitness program or any type of physical activity. And so I don't think there's anything wrong with using machines or anything like that.
Right.
Because you're being active, you're using your muscles. But what you're describing is a big part of what makes CrossFit so effective. It's basically what we call in our community functional fitness. And so the way I look at that is like, if you're on a Nautilus curl machine or a leg extension machine, right? It's very hard to duplicate that in your regular life. It's very hard to put yourself in a situation where I'm going to need that. I learned how to extend my knee. I learned how to curl my elbow. I'm going to use that every day, right? It's not really applicable in that way. And so there's not a real mind-body connection when you're using machines. Whereas like an example I would use that I've used before in a conversation with a medical doctor, I'm working with the medical doctor's patient. She's an elderly woman, and the medical doctor is saying that he doesn't want her to deadlift, right? So my position on that is like, I understand that. We want to be safe. We want to protect that back. But what I would ask you is she cleared to go to the grocery store, buy her groceries, bring them home, and put them away? And he's like, of course. So the question becomes, when she approaches the front door with the groceries in hand, she sits those groceries down, she keys the door, and she's ready to go in. When she picks those groceries back up, that's a deadlift. That's a free weight deadlift.
Yeah.
And what I want to do is teach her how to do that safely and effectively to enhance those activities of daily living. And I think that's the box that CrossFit checks that very few other programs can check, is although machines and all that are great for fitness, building strength, we want to do it functionally. And the easiest way for me to explain that is you can take it home with you in your regular life, whether or not it's reaching up in the cupboard for something heavy, whether it's your job and you're a construction worker, or you work, emergency medical, you work some type of first responder, just no matter what it is, having mobility and range of motion outside of setting yourself up on a machine is actually going to enhance your quality of life, especially as you age and you begin to deal with things like that inevitably come up. And that's kind of how I would explain the difference between what we do and working with machines.
Yeah, I think that's true. It is very functional. And I mean, you can do a lot with just your body weight. And so I know a big part of CrossFit is just using your body weight. And then you also have the weight element. Like, tell me a little bit about the setup of the gym. And, I know we're going to walk around later and we're going to observe one of your classes, but tell me a little bit about the gym setup and what kind of equipment you have in here.
Sure. That's another one of those areas that I think kind of separates Tier 1 from most gyms in the area and most gyms in the state, to be honest. The space, we have a 75-foot rig, and so we're able to take about 25 plus people on the rig for each rack. Basically, it means that 25 different people in a class could have their own squat station, which is very, very rare. We also have over 80 barbells in this facility. And so being able to outfit that many individuals, we can do things simultaneously. We can offer open gym and stuff that other places can't offer. And so the layout of our space is this back area that you see in the background is our main class space, and we call this our main rig. And we have everything set up to where we can do all kinds of gymnastics, squatting, pressing, and stuff on the rig. But also, because it's in the middle of the room, we also have all of that space in front and behind to do the body weight stuff you were describing, burpees, push-ups, things like that. And so we really have this space set up to maximize the individuals that participate in the class and have the variety pack of being able to do all that stuff. And that really comes from the old history of this gym, setting up for like hosting events, like competitions. They would run competitions here a lot. And so what we piggybacked off of that is being able to have the setup where we could just accommodate a lot of individuals at one time and really be able to offer that in a different type of light than most places can.
This episode of Go Big with Gib is brought to you by Irons Equity. At Irons Equity, we specialize in helping investors like you create long-term generational wealth and save money on taxes through recession-resistant real estate investments that create passive income for you and your family. If you want to secure your financial future, go to investwithgib.com to schedule a 30-minute introductory meeting with me, Gib Irons. Again, that's investwithgib.com. So, Justin, when did you take over this business? When did you acquire the business?
About 7 years ago. It was late February, early March of 2018, I believe it was. And I had been here for a while. I've been in the community doing functional fitness and personal training and things like that for over 15 years. It's kind of always been my professional thing is fitness. A lot of people will dip into fitness as like a hobby, something they did for a while. Unfortunately, it's probably like one of the few things I'm really good at. So for me, it's been like a professional passion for the last 15 years. 7 years ago, I was fortunate enough to acquire CrossFit Tier One. We've made some significant changes to improve the business, but at the same time, we've kept that core nucleus and that core kind of existence. You know, any small business like this that's been here in Greenville for 14 plus years serving the community, we like that. We want to continue to do that, and that's something that is really, really important to me is to continue that legacy and to be proud of it. I want the people who used to come here under the previous regime, I want them to be proud of what they have. And I want anyone new that stops in or is familiar with CrossFit in other communities to be proud and really be like, hey, this is a nice space and this is a nice facility to be able to conduct these classes and stuff.
Yeah, now the original location of CrossFit Tier One was on Red Banks.
Yes.
Is that right?
That's
right.
Right.
I remember that. And how long ago was it?
Yes, you're referring to like where the Rick House restaurant is now.
Yes.
That used to be the original space. I don't have a set date, but I want to say like 2012.
Something like that.
And
okay.
I used to go there too under the previous owners and have a lot of fun. And man, what I remember is when I walked in and I had some questions and some things like that, I remembered the CrossFit community aspect like right off the bat. Welcome. Well, let's not worry about payment and everything right up front. Let's make sure we get you a waiver. Let's make sure we get you accommodated. Let's make sure that you want to have some fun and get involved, and we'll take care of everything else after the fact. And I really thought that was cool, and that was a really big selling point for me, is like they wanted to get to know me. They wanted me to have a good time. They wanted me to be able to showcase my fitness and the things I was interested in, and that was kind of what they led with. And that was a big reason why I fell in love with the whole idea and the whole concept is I felt welcome. I felt like I belonged, and I felt like I had a lot of room to grow. And that is always in the back of my mind for how I lead my business is I want people to feel welcome. I want them to feel like they have space to grow as an individual, and I want them to feel comfortable and really be able to network with this great community that we've built over the 14 years.
Yeah. So talk to me about the classes during the week. Like, what's the class schedule or structure? I mean, it may be too much to go over, but
sure.
How many classes are there each day? Like, what times are they? That kind of thing.
Yeah, pretty simple. Monday through Friday, we do a 5:30 a.m., a 9 a.m., a 12 noon, 4:30, 5:30, and 6:30. So we have those all
that's
week.
A lot of classes.
Got a bunch of classes available. We also offer open gym. We offer 24/7 access with that open gym as well. And then on Saturdays, we run a 9 and a 10 a.m. class. Sundays is kind of like a close day, a reset day, a cleaning day. But if your schedule needs a Sunday workout, we offer that 24-hour access. And so my father and my mother, they both do emergency medical stuff. They both do like EMT stuff and stuff like that. And so a big part of what I like to do is make sure that I can provide that 24-hour access for the medical community, whether it be a firefighter, a nurse, a doctor, anybody like that. And that's why we always have offered that 24/7, because we want, again, to be a space almost like a fitness hub for the community where you can come better yourself here. If you have the motivation to try, we're going to meet you halfway, and we're going to help you with that for sure.
Yeah. So talk to me a little bit about nutrition. Like, what is the nutritional element of CrossFit, just in broad terms? Like, what are your thoughts on the importance of nutrition in addition to, having an amazing workout?
Yeah. Well, CrossFit kind of has a nutrition element to their program.
Okay.
They have a very famous thing that they put out, nutrition in 100 words or less. And it's really, really cool. Probably a little bit more than I would go into, but I would abbreviate that and make it even simpler, right? And basically what the CrossFit mode of nutrition is we're going to limit sugar and artificial sweets and things like that almost completely. And then we want to just eat things that are whole, fresh, and real, really focusing on things like meat, vegetables, nuts, seeds, things like that. Things that you can pronounce, things that are, don't have a long shelf life. They're not ladled in preservatives and things like that.
Right.
And if you Google search nutrition in 100 words, that's the first thing that will come up. Is they'll talk about, limiting some of the starches and some of the fruits, and really eating a lot of vegetables and a lot of fiber, making sure we're getting a ton of protein and things like that. And so it's a lot of the stuff that you've heard before, almost like it's an oversimplification. And I think that that's accurate, because nutrition is not complicated. It's just not easy. And I think people get those two things confused, right?
Yeah.
It's very simple.
Yeah.
We know we want to eat things that are whole, fresh, and real, and things that we need to prepare on our own, and stay away from things like fast food all in our face all the time.
Right.
But it's not an easy thing to do in modern society. And so it kind of takes a little bit of a conscientious effort to, I'm going to resist some of that, and I'm going to focus on that type of stuff. And that's what I tell all of my members and all of my clientele is, look, don't overcomplicate it. Don't make it like this strenuous, awful thing where your relationship with food becomes negative. Just look at making some permanent changes in the light of that simplification recommendation I just gave, and then see how that goes with some consistency. People want to be like, I'm just going to have diet water from here on out, and that doesn't stick, right? You end up kind of falling off of that.
It's impossible to keep
and
that.
So it's like, make a small adjustment and say, maybe I'm going to cut out soda, and I'm going to try to have 35% or more of my meals be protein based. And that type of change, where it seems small, over the course of 12 weeks, 15 weeks, 18 weeks, would have a big impact on the way that you felt, and probably the way that you looked as well. And so that's how I try to recommend nutrition. Start simple, baby steps, make those changes, reassess, take in some data, make those adjustments again, and just one little step at a time, build that up to like a real lifestyle change, versus like, I'm cutting everything out tomorrow and I'm going on this, you know what I mean? It makes it very difficult to stick with it when you do it like that.
Yeah, yeah. So for anybody that doesn't know Justin, doesn't know CrossFit, I highly recommend you come out here and check him out. Man, you've got an amazing spot out here. You do an amazing job, and I really think you know how to push people just to the right level to really get the best out of them, and so I can't say enough good things about you. For people that want to come out here and check you out, what's the best way for them to get a hold of you?
Yes, CrossFitTier1.net. We just upgraded our website at the beginning of this past year, and we have all of these different parameters in there where you can schedule without any contact or any friction. You can schedule a no sweat intro. You can schedule a drop-in. You can actually communicate with us back and forth on a chat. And so what we really try to do with that is, when people have questions and they want to get involved, we wanted to minimize any friction and make it very, very easy to contact us, schedule your initial appointment, which is essentially a tour, and just going through everything and talking to the person about what they want to do. A mentor of mine in fitness a long time ago said something to me, and it really stuck, and I think it applies to this situation. People will quit a machine, people will quit a squat rack, people will quit a bike, right? But it's harder to quit a relationship. And so when we start with those introductions and we get people in here and we talk to them, that's really our focus. Is we want to build a relationship and an understanding of what the person wants. We want to remember that. We want to engage them on that. And it's like, you can't fake caring. If you care, people know that you care. And that's how we try to lead, is we lead with that in mind. And so that's how we look at it when people come in. Talk to them about what makes them go. What are they trying to do? It may not be CrossFit specific, and that's okay. It doesn't mean that CrossFit's not the best program for you. It just means that you may focus on one thing more than another, and that'll be something that we talk about. And so that's the easiest way to get involved, CrossFitTier1.net. They could also just come by. We're open all the time, every weekday. We have staff here all the time, so they could come by. They could also check the phone number on the website and give us a call as well. Any way that they wanted to do it. We're also very active on social media, Facebook and Instagram especially, so you could hit us up on that as well. Also a really cool thing to look at when we're sharing some of these cool results, personal records, accomplishments and stuff of our community and our members. You'll see all that stuff on social media, and we really love doing that too.
Awesome. Now, you've got a class today at noon, is that correct?
That's right. Yep, I'm coaching.
All right. Do you mind if we stick around and hang out and check out the class?
Yeah, we would love that. We don't know how many people will be here, but I know some people will be here. So we'll get a view of kind of how we're doing it today. And today is all about back squats. So it's a little bit of a strength day. We'll get to see some of those barbells, get to see some of that lifting going on, and I'll help facilitate that and get those guys motivated to have a little lunch action going on.
Awesome, Justin. Look, thank you for coming on. Really appreciate it, man.
Thanks for having me, Gib.
Yeah, enjoyed it.
All right. Good times.
Thank you for listening to this episode of Go Big with Gib. If you haven't already, go follow us on social media @GibIrons. We'll see you next time.